Luz Noceda, the Owl House's Good Witch of Light, and Boonchuy, heard of Calamity and Amphibia's greatest treasure. Family is what binds us together, the comfort and love of a home. But sometimes a family is more than just blood, and a home is more than a house. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Luz Noceda was not what you'd call a normal middle schooler. What, like she had fancy hidden powers or something? No, not quite. She'd bring snakes to class, taxidermy animal parts together, and ad-lib her intestines falling out in school plays. That kind of not normal. Oh, I don't know, Wiz. I've got a daughter, and that all sounds pretty normal to me. And just like that, you've proven my point. Regardless, Luz's tendencies made it hard for her to make friends. She knew it, the school knew it, and her mother knew it. Which is why it probably shouldn't come with a surprise that her mom signed her up for some summer school courses at Reality Tech Summer Camp. Luz was less than enthused to go. Her father had passed away when she was younger, having gifted her a copy of what would soon become her favorite book, The Good Witch Azura. Luz got big time into fantasy and nerd culture as a whole, which is why it pained her so much to part ways with it and leave. Still, she knew it would be for the best, and she cleaned out all her old nerd stuff. But deep down, she really didn't want this. It was her escape from reality, letting her step into a whole new world. And so, almost poetically, that's exactly what fate had in store for her. On the day she was meant to catch the bus to camp, something happened. Unwilling to part with her beloved book, she went to fish it out of the trash, only to find a weird owl making off with the bag. Pursuing the thief into an old abandoned shack in the woods, Luz would unknowingly find herself running straight through a dimensional portal, escaping reality and stepping into a whole new world. This was the Demon Realm, more specifically the Boiling Isles, and that owl Luz had been chasing turned out to be a palisman, a sort of magic animal companion belonging to none other than Ida the Owl Lady, self-proclaimed most powerful witch in the realm and its most wanted criminal. Ida, who had made a living selling whatever junk their palisman owlbird brought through the portal, sensed massive opportunity from the human who had fallen right into their lap. And so, they made a deal. Ida would help Luz get back home, and Luz would help Ida secure a nice profit. Though, as you might have guessed, Luz quickly changed her mind. Truth is, she didn't want to go back home, not yet anyways. What she really wanted was to learn magic. And boy, would she not let up in begging Ida to teach her, especially not after moving in with her and her roommate, the self-titled King of Demons, King. Wow, real creative name there, buddy. Unfortunately for Luz, witches are only able to cast magic due to a special bile sac they have, making it impossible for Ida to teach Luz. For any other person, this would be a dead end. But Luz isn't any other person. One fateful night, by pure happenstance, Luz stumbled upon something. A glyph. A long-forgotten rune, part of the purest and primal form of spellcasting. This glyph and others of its caliber draw their magic from the Titan itself, the long-dormant colossus that the Boiling Isles themselves lay on top of. This glyph meant light, one of the 4 ancient elemental glyphs. Luz would single-handedly teach herself this language and reinvent a method of magic long thought dead. Even without a bile sac, with just a pencil and some paper, Luz could draw these glyphs into being and channel their power. It wouldn't be long before Luz learned the 3 other core glyphs: ice, plant, and fire. Becoming a prodigy in her own right, it's no wonder she'd be accepted into Hexside, the Isle's school for young mages, especially when she went above and beyond, experimenting with glyph combos to create whole new spells like invisibility. And it's not like glyphs are some dollar store magic compared to what witches could do. They're enough to overwhelm and overpower King, who could destroy one of the Titan's fingers that was capable of moving clouds, a feat worth over 900 megatons of TNT. Which is why it's so fortunate for the Isles that she'd be able to put those skills to good use. When she wasn't bonding with her found family or turning enemies into friends into girlfriends, she found herself investigating a conspiracy centered around the enigmatic Emperor Belos. In truth, Belos was a human like her, Philip Widderbane, who had come to the Isles and seized power long ago. Unlike Luz, Belos hated witches, and wanted nothing more than to end them with a ritual he'd been setting up for centuries, the Day of Unity. And as a master of publicity, Belos had the Isles kowtowing to him and thinking the Day of Unity would be their salvation. And, like Luz, Belos had become a master of glyphs. Luz even unknowingly studied his works, and via time travel shenanigans, ended up being the one who first showed him glyphs. His army consisted of the best mages the Isles had to offer, like the Golden Guard Hunter and the Emperor's Coven Head Lilith. Mages so well trained and quick on the draw that they could move at the speed of light to block waves of, well, light before they were hit. And Luz could go blow for blow and match the best of what the Emperor had to offer, even befriending the aforementioned pair and having them join in the fight against Belos. Though she alone wouldn't be able to stop the Day of Unity, but working with her new friends and family, she sort of did. The day was saved and Belos' plan was thwarted, but a whole new threat had been released: the Collector, a key component in Belos' ritual, and the childlike god who just wanted to have fun in the world by making it his plaything had been set free. Whimsical demeanor aside, the Collector's power is massive, able to casually slide the moon across the sky with a finger. It was during this final battle with Belos that Luz would learn the truth about having taught him glyphs. She was overcome with guilt and thought herself undeserving of magic, though she wouldn't have much time to think on it as she found herself and her friends catapulted through dimensions and stranded once more, this time back in the human world, where there was no Titan to speak of to draw glyphs from. And, unbeknownst to any of them, Belos had also slipped through and begun further machinations. Eventually tracking down and reactivating a portal, Luz, her friends, her mom, and Belos all found themselves back in the Demon Realm, setting their respective plans in motion. However, hiding it from the others, Luz had no intent of staying. She felt she had done more harm than good after learning the truth about Belos, and didn't want to stick around to mess things up further. But after a pep talk from all the people who she had come to help, she realized what she had wanted all along: to belong. And it was this realization that awakened her own talisman, the snake shifter, Stringbean. Stringbean, like any talisman, could morph into a staff for Luz, letting her fire powerful energy blasts from it, or ride it like a witch's broomstick through the air. She even got through to the Collector, showing him the error of his ways and learning why the Collector had done all this. The Collector just wanted people to call friends. When he first came to the planet, he had befriended the Titans that once lived there, but his people, the Archivists, lived in fear of the Titans and their superior strengths. One by one, the Archivists would neutralize the Titans until the Collector was left alone. Until one day, not too long ago, when the Collector met King. King may not be the king of demons, but he was the son of the last Titan, and in him, the Collector saw a long-lost friend. But for as many people as Luz swayed to see the light, there was one person she couldn't and wouldn't ever get to: Belos, who had taken his final opportunity to seize victory and merged with the Titan's corpse itself, animating the entire island in a last-ditch effort. Everyone mobilized to stop him, but it wasn't enough. Even the Collector was outmatched by Belos, wielding the power of the Titan, and he would have died had Luz not intervened. Unfortunately, all that meant was Luz dying in his place. Luz found herself in the in-between, the nexus between life and death, where she would meet the spirit of the Titan, King's dad. Rooting for her all the way and wanting his son to have a good sister, the Titan would imbue Luz with his power, sending her back to finish the job. And finish the job she did! With her new Titan form, Luz was unstoppable. She could fly through space, create force field bubbles around her, unleash a supersonic Titan roar, and channel magic without needing glyphs. She did what the Collector couldn't, decisively overpowering Belos and ending him once and for all. Parting ways with the last of the Titan's life force, Luz returned to normal and was hailed as a hero across the Isles, even as her glyphs ceased to function as the Titan spirit was put to rest. But her story wasn't over. With the Collector's help, the portal between worlds was reignited, and Luz would never abandon either of her homes, or either of her families. And it would only be a few years later that King reached an age where he would begin developing his own glyph language, and Luz would get the chance to learn all over again. Whether it be in the human or demon realm as a nobody or a hero, Luz would always strive from then on out to be true to herself, and to always live life to its fullest. Luz made peace with her past and herself. She made new friends, she found love, and she saved the world. But most importantly, she found where she belonged. She wouldn't need to worry about destiny passing her by, she had already seized it. Luz Noceda is not what you'd call a normal middle schooler, and that's okay. With or without fancy powers, it's not what you earn that defines you. You are what defines you. And hey, if you do happen to pick up some fancy powers along the way, well, that's just an added bonus.
Do not underestimate me, Belos. For I am the good witch Luz, child of the human realm, student of the demon realm, and warrior of peace! Now eat
Boonchuy was what you'd call a normal middle schooler. She hung out with her friends, played tennis, and always caught up on the latest episode of Suspicion Island. She was the jock of her friend group, alongside popular girl Sasha and egghead nerd Marcy. And, as any caring friends would, they picked out a gift for her 13th birthday, an ornate music box. And all Anne had to do was shoplift it from the store. Because they didn't actually buy it. Unbeknownst to Anne, the box was an ancient interdimensional artifact known as the Calamity Box. And as soon as she opened it outside the store, it would whisk her and her friends away, separating and scattering them across the world of Amphibia. Marcy wound up in the bustling capital of Newtopia. Sasha wound up captured by violent toad warriors. And Anne found herself left to fend for herself in the wilderness. Fortunately, all her jock experience paid off, as she actually did not half bad. Hunting, foraging, setting traps, the girl actually did pretty well for herself. Still, it was taking its toll, which is why one fateful day when she came face to face with the young frog Sprig Planter, she was relieved to find actual signs of society. After a bit of convincing the town that she wasn't a murderous monster, Anne would find herself taken under the wing of the Planter family. Sprig, Polly, and Hopadiah, or Pop-Pop for short. It was a simple life, but it so beat living out in the wilderness. Though Anne definitely could have been more grateful. She'd constantly go behind Hop-Pop's back with Sprig and land herself in all sorts of hijinks. The girl's faced more monsters than you can shake a lily pad at, and she'd seen herself out alive with just her wits, athleticism, and her trusty tennis racket, her only weapon in this foreign world. Or, well, it would be until she took some combat lessons from the devious newt Tritonio, being gifted one of his swords to help her find her way, and she'd certainly find chances to use it. She'd already warded off a gang of toad warriors running her protection racket, and the rest of the Toad Army wasn't too happy about it. The same Toad Army that had captured Sasha, who, during this time, had managed to gaslight gatekeep girl boss her way to a general position, becoming an expert warrior and commander in her own right. Sasha wanted home, even more so than Anne, and was willing to throw everyone else under the bus to get that. Anne couldn't stand for it, and the pair would clash blades at Toad Tower during a battle between the frogs and toads. Anne would emerge triumphant, but her drive to find a solution had been reignited. If there was anywhere to go to find more information on this mysterious music box, it was the capital, Newtopia. And so the planters set off on their road trip. Many trials and tribulations later, they'd arrive, reuniting Anne with her other lost friend, Marcy. Marcy had also made quite a name for herself, getting in close with King Andreas and becoming an appointed ranger. Though, if you asked her, she'd tell you she was running a rogue artificer build. As the box was studied, the pair reconnected and bonded, agreeing that they needed to find where Sasha had gotten to before returning home. But, as it turns out, Marcy was hiding her true colors. She wasn't out for blood like Sasha, but she was out for escapism. Marcy's family back on Earth had been planning to move soon, and Marcy couldn't stand the thought of leaving her friends behind. Researching the supernatural, she learned of the Calamity Box in her studies, and purposely set up the entire incident that trapped the three here, fully knowing what the box might be capable of. But Marcy knew all good things had to come to an end. The 3 gems on the box were recharged, and it was time to go. Unfortunately, she wasn't the only one with secrets. The girls were betrayed and quite literally backstabbed by King Andreas, who revealed his true colors, wanting to use the box to restart his kingdom's long-lost history of dimensional war. It was at this point Anne would learn something, part of the reason she had survived so long in the wild. Each gem on the box represented an aspect of human nature, heart, mind, and strength. Each girl had been intrinsically linked with a gem, being able to channel its power. Sasha with strength, Marcy with mind, and Anne with heart. The other 2 gems were recharged, effectively draining the other girls of their power before they even knew they had them. But the last gem's recharging had been interrupted. Anne could still tap into that last fragment of her power and enter a calamity form. And tap in she did! The girl went Super Saiyan on Andreas after he tried to kill Sprig. She blitzed across his throne room faster than he could track, released shockwaves just by punching, and pummeled him and his robots down without breaking a sweat. And those robots aren't pushovers. A group of them were able to create this massive fire, which would require an energy output of over 112 gigatons of TNT per robot. And Anne could cleave through them no problem even before unlocking her powers, let alone after. Her super form was even able to outmuscle this cloakbot, who could self-destruct with an energy output of over 18 teratons. These same types of robots could fly to the moon at speeds approaching Mach 200, And again, Anne had no problem keeping up with these things before transforming. After her boost, she was able to not only keep up with, but view both them and their lasers in slow motion, requiring speeds exceeding 3.5 times that of light. After unfortunately being hurled back to Earth along with the planters, Anne reunited with her family and now had the opposite goal, to get back to Amphibia. Made all the more difficult by the fact the FBI was now on her tail to study the strange frog people she brought with her, deploying an alien capture team headed by, RuPaul. Anne was more than capable of outmaneuvering and outwitting them, even one time taking down a corridor full of them with just a toy lightsaber. It wasn't long before she, with the help of both her families and some newfound friends, was able to kickstart a portal back and rejoin the fight. It wasn't great when she got back. The world was dystopian and ruled by an iron fist. Marcy was still presumed dead, and Sasha had taken the reins as leader of the rebellion. Though Marcy wasn't really dead. Instead, Andreas had kept her alive to be the puppet of his kingdom's greatest weapon, the Core, a collection of Amphibia's greatest minds that would assimilate Marcy as their newest host. Marcy was painfully converted by the supercomputer, fusing consciousness and becoming the Darcy. Really knocking it out of the park with names here today, guys. With the players all in place, Andreas launched his first invasion, Earth. With the battle now spanning dimensions, rebellion forces spread thin as Andreas' army poured out into Earth. Anne battled his titanic mech, telekinetically carving through the city with her sword after being reinvigorated by sweet life-giving K-pop, eventually breaking through to him both literally and figuratively. Andreas, despite all of this, didn't really want it. He wanted to be a good guy, but his father's crushing expectations and legacy and eventual disownment drove him to rapidly pursue this cause. He never really wanted anything like this for himself. His father, whose consciousness now resided in the Core, in Darcy. While Anne fought Andreas, Sasha fought Darcy, eventually severing her connection and freeing her from the Core. With the Core thwarted, Anne returned to Amphibia for a final celebration, knowing she had a welcome home in either world. It was then the Core would initiate its final gambit. Long ago, the Utopian Empire had converted the moon itself into a superweapon, an ultimate last reserve. The Core assumed control of the moon, setting it on a collision course with Amphibia and unleashing a host of monsters through space. But along her travels, Anne had learned something. Her and her friends were prophesized. All of this was the prophecy of Amphibia's greatest treasure. Not the box, but them. With the power re-imbued, the three of them channeled all they could, the proximity of the gem synergizing and boosting the box's effects. The girls would assume even more powerful armored calamity forms that were capable of making giant energy constructs, with Anne herself returning to her old classic tennis racket, and were even strong enough to briefly hold back the moon. Don't let the briefly fool you. Even something like that would require matching 877 zetatons of TNT worth of force. Man, what is it with these kids and the moon? Still, it wasn't enough, but Anne had one last trick up her sleeve. Sending her friends back down safely, Anne would take on all three gems herself, entering a pure white form. Perfect calamity. With this, she was able to unleash one last attack, completely annihilating the moon in one fell swoop with a blast far eclipsing anything else she had done, packing almost 40 yotatons of TNT worth of energy. But died in the process. The output too much for her body to handle, she said a final farewell and faded away into the sky. She gave her life to save both worlds, both her families. But wait! Anne found herself face to face with, God. Yeah, this giant cat thing is a manifestation of the Guardian, overseer of the multiverse and creator of the Calamity Box. It had made the box to test the hearts of mortals and found Anne worthy. Worthy of what? Well, becoming their successor. Anne, being 13, was absolutely not ready to get the title of God and requested more time to learn. Then maybe they'd consider it. Begrudgingly agreeing to delay their much-desired retirement, the Guardian would reward her compassion by returning them to life. Anne had a second chance. However, this came at a cost. Anne's final attack had completely destroyed the gems. They were stuck in Amphibia. But the Guardian was kind enough to send along just enough fragments for one last trip. One last trip home. The girls reunited and knew what they had to do. They'd have to say goodbye to the world they had grown to love. and the people within. With a final heartfelt farewell to their friends and families, the trio returned to Earth, the bond between dimensions forever severed. Their powers gone and the world they knew nothing more than a memory, the trio would inevitably grow and drift apart in life. But they never abandoned the bond they had. Even after going their separate ways in life, they'd always stay friends, and they'd always be thankful for what they did. And the world would be thankful for them as well. Both of them. And Boonchuy was what you'd call a normal middle schooler. Was. But now, after all she's been through, that couldn't be further from the truth. Things will come and go. Everything does. But don't let a goodbye be the end. Remember all it took to get to where you are, and smile about all the good things you've been able to be a part of.
Change can be difficult, but it's how we grow. It can be the hardest thing to realize you can't hold on to something forever. Sometimes, you have to let it go. But of the things you let go, you'd be surprised what makes its way back to you.
Alright, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities. It's time for a death battle!
Stupid box. Unless LA's really remodeled since I left, I don't think this is home.
Oh, sorry. Let me just... Are you...
A human?
Wait, that box... I read about that thing. This must be my lucky ticket back home. And Scoop?
What? Hey, dude!
Sorry, I just need to borrow it for a bit.
Man, why can't I never meet a girl who won't get one over on me? Give it back!
I can explain everything, just...
Oh, it's on now. Ha! And serve!
Huh. Pineapple. Man, I wish they had Hawaiian pizza here.
Okay, now can I have it back? Whoa, 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 whoa!
Ha! Give me a break! What?
Dude, look, I don't want to hurt you.
Great, so we can be friends?
Ha! Maybe after I get that box back.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to wait on that.
Great, yeah, of course. Why not? Okay.
Wait, Titan, how?
Surprise? Ha! No big deal, really. Huh?
Okay, finally, I lost her.
You sure about that, dude?
Ugh,
Where
am I
am I?
dead?
Maybe. Maybe not. But it's not the end. You've got a lot of people in your corner, kid, whether you know it or not. So get back out there. This means more than you could ever know. And hey, this may help you. So let's get back to it. The show must go on.
The...
So,
Whoa! Dude, you look sick!
I do? I do!
Ready to go again?
Ha! I was about to ask the same thing. What are you?
Sorry, dude, but you're about to get served!
Am I on the moon?
This has been fun. I hope we get to see each other again.
Yeah, me too. I'm Luz.
And Boonchuy. Thank you, Luz.
Do not underestimate me, and for I am the good witch Luz, child of the human realm, student of the demon realm, and warrior of peace. Now eat this, sucker! No, I didn't mean to. I wasn't supposed to.
Shh. It's fine. It would have happened anyways. I got carried away. It's fine. Promise.
Promise?
As long as you can promise me. Don't stop fighting. Whatever you need that box for, I hope you see it through to the end. And I hope you'll remember me. We gotta stick together. Against the world.
I promise.
Thank you, Luz.
I promise.
KO! And there goes the moon again. Of course. While on the surface, this may seem like a clear-cut victory for Anne, inspecting things further reveals that isn't the case. Both fighters have multiple forms, so let's review how each pairing would play out. For starters, in their base forms, Anne is way stronger. Luz scaling Titan's finger is impressive, but gets dwarfed by those robot flames. Anne would have no problem putting Luz down if she got a solid hit in. The problem there is getting the hit in. Anne can keep up with robots nearing Mach 200, but Luz paces people who can react to flashes of light. Luz would be way too fast in combat for Anne to reliably pin down. Fortunately, the Calamity form countered this. Oh yeah, base Anne already trumped Luz in strength, so Calamity's power boost wasn't doing much, but its speed boost was. Anne would be notably faster than Luz and would have no problem taking her out. Even with Luz's greater range and stealth options, Luz may be smart, but Anne's combat skill is just insane. But of course, this is all set dressing to the real crux here. How did Luz's Titan form stack up against Anne's armored and white forms? The answer is pretty darn well. While Anne may still be faster by a couple times, power is a completely different story. While one might assume Anne holding back the moon, let alone blowing it up, trumps anything Luz's Titan form has done, that wouldn't necessarily be true. Remember, Titans, like the one who Luz was bestowed the power of, are in the same league of power as Archivists, and the Collector, a child Archivist, was able to casually drag the moon like a desktop icon. Calculating the kinetic energy of such a feat would put its power yield at 8 ronatons of TNT, 200 times greater than Anne's final attack. That's not even mentioning this attack kills Anne. Luz would be more than capable of powering through anything armored Anne threw at her, and even Anne's ultimate attack would likely be unable to get past Luz's shield, and just kill Anne from existence instead. So, with Anne being a few times faster, but Luz just being way more powerful, it was only a matter of time until Anne slipped up and was overpowered. And while both forms do have a time limit of only a few minutes, it's not like either side would know that. And the speed gap is close enough, especially combined with Luz's greater range and area of effect, that it's unlikely one side would time out mid-fight. There's also the matter of resurrections. While the Guardian was willing to revive Anne, it's unlikely they'd do the same in other contexts. Yeah, the revival was a reward for Anne's sacrifice, and even then, she had to plead to get it. The Guardian was really wanting to retire. The revival wasn't something the Guardian was thrilled to be doing. It was a favor he had to be begged into granting. It's possible the Guardian would revive Anne once in this fight, but that one extra life wouldn't be enough to make much of a difference. It just lets Anne take one more hit. Yeah, any death past the first, the Guardian's not gonna budge. Likewise, the idea that Anne could become the Guardian after death is something else to consider, but unlikely to really play a part. Anne's capabilities as the Guardian, or even if she'd accept the position, are entirely unknown hypotheticals. Yeah, and even if she did accept the title and wield godlike power, she would still be choosing to stay dead to do so. meaning he'd still have to pass on any possible revives and die for good to get to that point. Anne was a masterful warrior and a true powerhouse, but Luz's titanic strength, greater range of options, and cunning mind were enough to land her the win. This battle so was enlightening, but in the end, Anne had to croak. The winner is Luz Noceda.